Hello and welcome to Kushti TV, the straight talking YouTube channel. Yes, what have I got for you today? I've got a treat for you. I've got a man of many parts. Yes, the gentleman in question has acted many parts, and I mean acted many parts. But one thing he has done for real, because trust me, they do not become an Hall of Famer by mistake. And the gentleman in question, of course, he's an Hall of Famer boxing promoter. You sit back, you have a cup of something, and you listen to the wonderful, turbulent journey of Mr. Harry Holland. Harry, welcome to the show.
Lovely to see you.
How are you? All right, mate? Lovely.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure to mine.
Thank you very much. You're a fellow West Londoner, similar part with me. I'm born Isleworth, you're born Brentford, so we're neighbouring villages, if you like, London villages. Born in London, 1942, you're one of two. Let's start with your earliest sort of memories.
Well, it was, I'll be honest, I was born in Brentford, Middlesex, which was, had more pubs around there than enough, like, you know what I mean? But when I was first born, like, it was really unusual because my mum was divorced.
Yeah.
Which in them days, Joe, your dad was your hero, you know? There was only your dad was number one, like, you know, your hero. No one else was divorced, so straight away I had a problem at school. I used to get smashed to pieces. My mum was...
So your parents are divorced, yeah?
Divorced.
Because even in those days, he's not like, would it be fair to say, people held on to marriages, arguably, even when they shouldn't have. It was a lot different them days, and really made marriages work, when they weren't working.
It was so unusual.
So it's quite a rarity.
Yeah, a rarity. So that's the reason why, like, no one wanted to play, but it was horrible. My mum used to say, stick up for yourself. I used to try. How can you stick up for yourself when you don't know how to hold your hands out? You've got no man to show you.
Yeah.
Do you know, I mean, she used to hit me over the royal shield when she lost her temper and sling me out and all sorts of things. It was really good upbringing. Shirts ripped off me back. Do you know,
from an early age,
I'll tell you, it wasn't fun.
Well, from an early age, as Harry said, we predominantly, as males, look up to the male figure, your father, to learn you how to fight a little bit. So you didn't quite know how to. So you're a little bit confused at this stage. You didn't quite know how to. No, not many people know how to box in their infancy, but thank you, you're going to come on and learn. Yes, so things ain't going great. It's a tough upbringing this far, then.
Absolutely terrible. I can't stress how horrible it was. Scared to go to school, it was horrible.
Really? That must have been
and then, you know, just got... Everything was getting, you couldn't get picked for a football team, you jump up and down and they'd roll you out. It was horrible. And I used to say, I'm going to see my dad, and kids are kids, aren't they? Yeah. No, you ain't got a dad. Yeah, I have. No, you ain't. And all that.
Yeah, horrible. I can imagine.
All I wanted was a dad.
I can sympathise. Thankfully, a lot of us at home, we for us who have good dads, we just think, when I was a little boy, I used to assume it was compulsory that we all had nice dads. But sadly, Harry didn't have that figure in his life. Now, you come to an early age and you learn to trust somebody, and sadly, we're just touching this, we won't portray this horrible person too much, but you learn to trust somebody, you thought, and you learned another wicked, harsh lesson that you can't always trust people on face value. Just touch on that a little bit.
That's right, Joe. When I was about 9, we had this lodger say, his name was Dick, funny enough, and he used to take me out his motorbike and all that, and treat me and all that, you know, and I thought we found me father figure.
Yeah.
It was lovely, but I do remember saying things like, it doesn't matter whether I was or whether I weren't, I was the ugly duckling, to me. No one wanted me, right? And he used to say, you've got nice eyes, the girls are like you later on, and he was the first one to give me any love and affection, right? That was a good part. So we're going out on a motorbike, and one night he'd stayed, no problem, you know, and another night we sort of stayed. And I can only say this, that the worst way I'd say this right into the camera because it might help somewhere else, he buggered me. There's no nice way of saying it. That's what he'd done.
There's no
the
nice
most horrible thing in my life. It's messed me up during the course of my life in different ways. And through that, so you've got to imagine, I've got that happening, I've got the beating up happening. It was just really, it was a piss, you know.
We'll come forward to go backwards a bit, because you've written the biography, your autobiography in the early 2000s, I think.
2007.
2007. And you touch on that. So we will go forward to come back a bit. So we're going back to an early part, but coming forward, you bravely written that. As did the other boxer, Sugar Ray Leonard. He faced the same problem with in a different. Well, they're all same problems, aren't they?
Yeah.
He also was abused, and Sugar Ray Leonard, the brilliant, great Sugar Ray Leonard, faced what is brilliant out there. I think, you know, let's get this right. There ain't a man living on earth would want to endure what you and Sugar Ray Leonard have endured. But it does go to show by coming out and mentioning these things, you can go on to be successful. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard, he did have other demons. Other than being the brilliant boxer he was, it still affected him in some ways. But he come across, raised a lovely family, as did yourself. So I've got to commend you on your bravery and courage of coming out. And I think that can only be positive for people who've been through that horrendous abuse.
I hope so. By me saying, Joe, I hope anybody out there, if this ever happens to you, don't be frightened to tell somebody. Where I was terrified to tell anybody, and quite honestly, my mum wouldn't believe me anyway, to be truthful, right? But in them days, you never knew about it. You know, matter of fact, I was growing up to think it was a natural thing, you know, because it didn't just happen once.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was so
horrible
confusion. If this helps somebody out there, or even me, Joe, you've got to give them my number. They could phone me, talk to me, anything. I want to help anybody in this situation. It's the most terrible, horrible, dirty, filthy thing can happen to anybody.
Well, what I think is wonderful there, the same message comes back. People that have been through it definitely don't go through it alone. And Harry's stressed there. You know, you want to get in touch with him via contact, and he's there for it. If somebody in a situation, well, I think that's brilliant, Harry. I'm brave. So moving on. So you've endured this horrendous start, but you find a way. You're a tough character. You start boxing. Explain how your boxing started.
Well, it's quite funny. And another, I just thought it. Then he actually bought me a pair of boxing gloves, and I actually sparred with him out in the garden. You know, and obviously tried to get my own back as best I could.
Yeah.
And I said, "Why are you eating Uncle Dick so hard?" And that's another funny story. But anyway, cut long story short, they had a boxing club at school.
And wasn't it a shame you couldn't have possessed some 30-year-old power and hit him in the dick or something? Yeah, or in the throat.
Yeah, not many.
Yeah.
But anyway, they had this boxing, and they said they just paired you off, and because everyone went in, me got another good eye, and all my nose smashed to pieces and all that. And I thought, oh, I've had enough.
So it ain't getting any better at the moment, is it?
No, it's getting worse and worse. So I thought, what have I got to do? I thought, right, two things I've got to do. Somewhere along the line, I've got to get respect. Do you know what I mean? Because no one respected me, no one wanted to be with me. So what I do, I invented, without realising, a personality to make people like me. And cheerful, talking to people, all that. And then I decided I was going to stay with the boxing, learn. But cut long story short, a year later, there was a fella called Billy Hunt, who was the best boxer in the school. And I sparred with him. I didn't beat him or nothing like that, but to have the guts to go with him, that altered my whole life.
Really?
And that is why I'm so strong on boxing now.
Yeah.
You know, Joe, you know, you was a good boxer yourself,
which we'll touch on your giving back.
Right.
But we can see the picture now, so it's been a really tough start.
Right.
Anyway, and then this abuse has made it horrendously tough, and then getting bashed up and mistreated. But you found some courage you found some worth in boxing, which is a great thing, which is what we're going to hit on, which, for a lot of you mums out there, think, I'll give you an idea actually, I'll give you an insight. My middle son was obese, he was way overweight, Joe Jr., and my wife don't particularly like boxing, and a lot of mums don't, right?
That's right.
And she says, my children, I don't never introduce my sons to boxing. I introduce them to it, but I never say you have to do it. You know, so it's there. And she says, you don't have my sons knocked around and all this. And my boys were showing they love boxing on Sky and the TV and go to watch the shows live, promotions you put on, etc., etc. And they're really showing a keen interest there. So I made a conscious decision, what's most dangerous, getting punched on the nose or being 5 stone overweight? So I introduced my son a little bit more. She said, do you want to go training? I'll take you. And I said to my wife, I'm making this conscious decision, getting one on the Utah or 5 stone overweight. And he's now lost all his weight. He's a 6'3" or 4" slim Jim, and he's been punched on the nose and he gets on with it. But I make it. So I think it's got some positivity there. Boxing,
we have sold it. I mean, I cannot tell people look straight in the camera. Boxing my saviour, and it saved loads of other kids. If only people knew, the government knew what boxing does, because a lot of people, no disrespect to anyone, they sometimes try to talk to a person who's got a problem like me, say, right, the average person can't talk like that. I can talk like you can, on their level. You can have a joke with them, you can say things that you get locked up for an eye on, you know what I mean? But that's boxing.
Of course. It's boxing gym banter.
Well, my own son saying it, well, just but he might have got a chance, sorry Joe, is I started him like from 4 years old. I wouldn't give him a packet of crisp until he could do a straight left right, and he did, and he boxed, he became a successful amateur, and then he packs up because I was too strict, And then come back, he's a fantastic trainer. He's got 2 gyms, and the rest is history.
And your son John is a friend and a fine man, and he always has been a fine man.
You,
and he's got a reputation to back that well up. With longevity over decades. He's always been a nice, lovely man. So we'll touch on John again, which is brilliant. So we agreed that boxing's okay. So where do we go? You start as do a bit of junior boxing, and then you move on. You have some first jobs. You've got to tell me, because obviously for you at home, if I don't do any research with the gentleman in this case, Harry and camera, I'm a bit stuck and I'm not doing my journal work. But you said what really impressed me, you adapted a character. So you come from this boy that was quite down and suppressed, if you like, in many ways, but you adapted a nice character to be you, which is working. And now you're starting to be a little bit of a streetwise, cocky West London boy. You get your fingers into a nice little job here somewhere, don't you? On the rounds. Tell us a bit about that.
It's I'll tell you, I'm the original Dell boy, and that's the truth.
There you go.
I started with van sales, and I was van sales assistant. And the only thing I was good at, I couldn't spell, terrible mental arithmetic. And I learnt by doing that, I could help the driver. He used to have to come in and do his books afterwards for about an hour, I could do them on the way home, so consequently he's saving an hour, well pleased. So he'd bung me a drink out of his fiddles, because in them days, whether people admit where they didn't, everyone was fiddling. It was after the war, everybody was fiddling.
I suppose it would have been probably the swinging 60s, I suppose. It would have been in that area.
It was, and then for that I went to which was really fantastic, Wolsey's pre-packed bacon, and I was the youngest one ever there to get a van on my own.
Right.
And
so what age are you now? 17?
I'm 17. Right. Just passed me life. It took me 3
you got your own van?
Got my own van. Got a van boy who's 15. Right. And I used to go to the West End as well, because the money I was getting, wages in them days, Joe, was as I remember, it was like £6. Then it went up to the £20 was a magic figure.
Yeah.
If you're £20,
that was like your £1,000 a day or something, was it?
No, £20 a week was fantastic.
That's like £1,000 a day, almost like a really good, decent wage.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, a landmark wage. Yeah.
I was earning on the fiddle at them days £120 a week, which was untold money.
So if we're saying we're getting a nice wage of £1,000 a day, we're on 5 or 6 bags a week equivalent.
Equivalent.
It's all pro rata, right?
Unbelievable.
You buy a house for 4,500 or something, whatever.
That's exactly right. So there was something, or this Flash Zodiac with a record player in it and all that chat the lad. I was going up the nightclubs at the West End with a few of the market boys who was earning a few quid. And we had a great...
Presumably they're doing a bit as well in their area.
It was just unbelievable. But also, when you're that age, you're stupid, and I was getting drunk.
Yeah.
Not drunk. My van boy 15's driving the motor around. Right, and the supervisor comes
up. So the van boy's driving the boy around.
Driving me around. Supervisor.
He thinks he's 37, but he's 17.
So the supervisor, cut long story short, he said he's got to tell the governor. The governor has me and he said, I'm sorry, I've got to sack you. Now what a mug. Here I am now. I think I was about 18 then.
Yeah.
Here I am earning a fortune, getting a sack, you know what I mean? But he did say to me, he said, look, if you behave yourself, come back a few months' time, I'll reinstate you.
Right.
Well, remember I'm 18, Jack the Lad, and I'm saying to everyone else, if I catch that Mr. Page, I'm going to whack him and all this. Because remember, I'm not like I am now, I'm 18 for it. I don't really want to hit him or anything like that, but I'm saying it, right?
Yeah.
And lucky for him, he comes out and goes in the garage to get petrol. So all the boys are saying, go on, I thought he was going to hit him, you know.
Yeah.
So I go over, not intended to hit him, I'm having a row at him, and he says something and I hit him. Oh. And unfortunately, I got a fine assault, £5 in them days, and that was the end of me earning a fortune. So it was a fault.
Well, there you go. You see, sometimes this old pen's a bit mightier than the sword,
and
so it's not always the answer.
No, boxing comes to my own because I went to the boxing club, CAV at Acton, and told me what happened, and the trainer's very good there. And he said to me, you know, you don't want to be fighting on the street. You know, what we train fighters now, you want to control it, blah, 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 which I did.
Yeah.
And then I worked, I say, my personality, I don't really want to hurt anyone, I love everybody. Yeah. And that's where it started from. And then I was boxing.
So the aggression was now controlled?
Controlled, through boxing.
Through boxing.
And as I said, I was getting a good, then I went to Booth's Gym. But I bear in mind, I hate to say it, but there was fiddles everywhere. You know, it was the way it was. It was different now. It was the way it was, and there was all these things, you know, I was doing skullduggery, and then all of a sudden it had to stop. And I met my lovely wife to be, Jane, and there's a funny story there. It's a nightclub, I asked her to dance, she got up and she fell over. So I always said she fell for me.
Fell for me, yeah,
Right,
there you go, literally fell for me.
You know, and,
so you set about, you meet your wife, Jan, you set about building your family.
Yeah.
And, which you do, because you've got, John's a mate of mine I know well, and your daughter's out, what is your family size? Sorry.
Yeah, well what we done then, the first one was Mandy King, who was my daughter.
Yeah.
We had a little flat at Sheen Park, and from there we lived with my mother-in-law for about a year, and we was lucky enough then to get a brand new place at South Convent Way, which was, Joe, I can't stress how marvellous that was.
Yeah.
Everyone was growing up there, you know, the families like you got right in the days, like the Loveridges and all that.
Yeah.
That was on the other side. And we was there, and we had Mandy, John, and then Tracy come along. So
Lovely.
we three lovely kids, Mandy, John and Tracy.
So you've now got what you never quite had.
Yes.
In the nicest way.
Yeah,
you're
got a lovely family.
So you're now united.
Yeah,
so
lovely
you're,
wife,
so you're all
family,
happy.
great. Yeah, very happy.
Moving on.
Everything. Bought hairdressers over there.
Yeah.
So I've got the hairdressers. I've got 3 cars. I've got 2 boats.
Yeah.
It was absolutely.
Things hunky-dory, yeah.
It was a great time.
Onwards, upwards.
Yeah.
So from tough beginnings, we're doing well. Now you're a face around town, around the west side of London, and you go to these clubs, and then you decide to have a go yourself. You and a close friend, Les Subby.
Yeah, that's
You
correct.
said we can maybe crack this. So you start promoting, putting on your own clubs and
That's
hosting
correct.
venues
Yeah.
and music, etc.
Yeah, we went to I said to Les, let's have a go on our own. So we sort of started like a disco place first, or just trying to think, famous place, gone for a minute. Anyway, we done no good there. We moved to Northcote Arms, a little pub at the back, because in them days, Joe, all the halls weren't like they were now. They was halls on the back of pubs. That's where they were. Do you know?
Yeah.
So we had it there. Doing no good, and in come we had a group called Merlin Q. I always remember it now, so usually remember, I'll remember it straight away. And they had these straight jackets coming, you see.
Yeah.
And they said, we want rock and roll. So we said, leave out, rock and roll's gone, it's dead, you know,
Right.
it's gone. They said, look, there's loads of people that love rock and roll. If you put it on, we'll support you and we'll bring the crowds.
Right.
So I said, Les, well, we're doing our cobblers, we might as well
Give
have
it a go, yeah.
So we give it a go, sure sign, boom, we got all these people, right? So we are the place to be if you're a rock and roll band. Then this is most important, I get a chance then, believe it or not, someone said, well, I've got a group you might be interested in, who?
Oh,
I said, no, we're already sorted.
We're already sorted.
It was, I think they were called Say House there, but anyway, cut long story short, I wasn't interested.
Who does he think he is at this stage? It turned down to you.
But what I did have was, we got the chance of getting Gene Vincent. Now, Gene Vincent was God in the rock and roll era.
Right.
So get Gene Vincent. So I booked him, and we got going to have it in Northcote Arms. Banged out, all going good. And then a man I know, Nobby Griffiths, who used to, funny enough, look after the Roger Daltrey's dog.
Right.
He's in the know, Nobby. Anyway, he said to me, Harry, he's not going to appear. I said, what do you mean he's not going to appear? He said, who's the contract with? I said, a fella called Don Holden, who I didn't know in them days, evidently a right gangster figure. Right. Now, he's had half the money anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So I said, where's that? He said, he will not appear with anything to do with Holden. So he said, let me have a chat. So I had a chat with Vincent.
Right.
And he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I agree the same figure. He said, you've got to deal with Holden and get the money back, you know, like that. So I had the row with Holden, cut long story short, Don Holden got a quarter for nothing.
Right.
But we got Vincent. Me as the chief promoter, we walked him through, lifted him on, because he'd had a bad leg, we had a car accident.
Yeah.
And what used to happen with him, his famous record was Biba Balula.
Oh, got it, yeah.
And once he'd done that, he was finished, you know, that he'd come off. So cut long story short, we had it absolutely fantastic. From there we had all the rock and roll, we had a matchbox. Mungo Jerry was called the Good Earth Band then, fantastic rock and roll.
So you're making, this is successful shows, you're making good money at this stage?
Good money, and more important, we were someone, you know, we were. If you were, so we got a phone call.
It's a serious promoter,
Yeah,
recognised.
serious
A bit I would say Stringfellow was massively promoting, you know, noted as a nightclub.
Yeah, but us as
but you had your own sort of notoriety like that, similar, yeah.
There was no one bigger than us then at that time. And I got a phone call from Shaking Stevens.
Yeah.
He said, wanted to join us, and we went down with Les to Penarth Pier, listened to him. So we had him at our venues. And what he used to do...
Shaky Stevens, massive name, I think, 2, 3 number
in
ones?
the 80s.
2 number ones, 3 number ones in the 80s?
Yeah, unbelievable. In the 80s, the biggest star out, Shaky, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, we had him, and I always knew he was going to be famous, how good he was. And we had him all over the place. So what I used to do is put a group on in the break, and if everyone liked them, put them out the venues, Hounder 1, Hounder 2, you know, around the place. And the other famous place was the Fishmonger Arms at Wood Green.
Yeah.
Fantastic venue. And we had a fella there called Screaming All Such. I don't know if that means the name to you.
No, it don't.
For you people, youngsters wouldn't know this man. He used to run for Parliament, the Looney Party.
Oh,
a complete
them ones, yeah.
crank night, and we had him down there one day. First of all, we had the Northcote Arms. He's there, and he's singing Great Balls of Fire.
Right.
And he accidentally sets light to the curtains.
Oh.
I mean, it was crazy. But it was a crazy time. So we had that. Took him down to Northcote Arms. You've got to imagine this. The place is banged out, Joe.
Right.
Banged out. Right, and you hear the Death March, which for those of that, it goes something like this. Da 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 dum da da dum da 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 dum, and I walk through with the coffin,
All right.
right through the crowd, smashed out, tip the coffin on, then I knock on the coffin, keep the knocking bitch you can, come big acts. And these were the shows we had.
So great
shows.
Yeah.
Shaking Stevens, Mungo Jerry,
Great theatrical side.
Chuck Berry, all these people. We was
great showmanship as well as
absolutely had it off. But then all of a sudden, Shaky comes so big.
Yeah.
Like, we had him down at the ground, Fulham Palace Road, and a woman walks in, wanted someone to be in the show Elvis.
Yeah.
And he got the show Young Elvis. He went on. Now, all the rock and roll.
Because he was England's answer to the world.
They got too much money now, see?
Yeah.
So we can't afford to have it no more.
Right.
And the last show we had was a place at the Mitre Greenwich, which is where the O2 is now. I'm not even sure if it's not even still there.
Right.
But I have to find it out. But that was the end of our rock and roll.
So that was the end of era. But what you've got here, your promoting skills, and go back to your early life, all this mistreatment. You and a good friend of yours, Colin Cracknell, you get to a stage you want to give back to the children that weren't as fortunate and as privileged as you. You come back as an amateur boxer. You're a decent boxer, but you decided not to turn professional. Colin did.
Yes.
Well, you wanted to give back in the game, and you become then an amateur trainer, giving back to all the youth on the streets, etc., etc. So you started in Southall.
Yeah. Well, what happened? We had to move from Southall. So the fellow who was in charge of Billy Stagg, he started Norfolk up, and Colin and myself, we started Hogarth up at Chiswick, which was a very successful club. And we, as I said, we had the most Middlesex champions, 7 years on the trot. We had every champion.
Very successful club.
Very successful.
Yes.
Every champion but Olympic champion. Cut long story short, that is my record. I had every champion but Olympic champion or world champion pro.
Yeah.
But every other one you had. Every licence in the professional ranks I've had, from cutman to matchmaker to you name it, I've had.
So you get usually successful as a amateur trainer. You get some of these fighters so good. It's inevitable, then they're going to want to turn pro, and you think at this stage, well, I know these boys, I've trained them from a young age, I may as well manage and promote. So you're promoting skills that you learned with Les Savvy on the music venues, on the rock and roll scene. It's coming now and then because it's just still another form of promoting, but you turn this then to professional management and promoting. So tell us, how many champions? Who was your first professional you had? Was it Rocky Kelly, the first one you signed?
No, yes and no. There was 3 that I signed, right? First of all, I'll go back a little bit. Colin decided to call it a day a couple of years before, carried on, and I thought you was banned. You couldn't have both licences, so I had to make my choice. So
you couldn't have dual then, could you?
No,
you can now. So here's a message for you at home. You can now quite openly, believe it or not, be an amateur and go and train with a pro. Back in the old days, a pro with his shorts on couldn't go in an ABA gym, train or spar. Otherwise the ABA gym would be jeopardising their licence, and that was a fact. It's hard to believe now, they all mix it together now. But that was true, wasn't it?
That's how it was. So I decided to go. So what I'd done, I took Rocky Kelly, Gary Hobbs, who I've had Gary from a kid. I'd had Gary from 10 years, 11 years old. And Rocky Kelly came to me when he was 14. And there's a story there. You've got time to put this one in?
Yeah.
Right. And Rocky Kelly came to me, he's 14. He went, hello, I want to be a boxer. So I said, well, I was full up. You know, I said, come back a year's time. I just want to get rid of it. I was full up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a year's time, this kid come in, hello, like a little squeaky voice. I went, oh, hello. It's me. Who's me? Hamilton Kelly. You know, I don't know who he is, you know, all these fighters I've had.
Yeah, you've forgotten.
He said, you said you got me back.
So he took you literally 1 year later.
And I said to him, you know what, you're on. And we never looked back for that.
So with determination like that, how can you say no to that kid?
So cut long story short, turned pro with him and a fella called Mick Harrison, who had a lot of skill.
Mad Mickey Harrison from Hayes,
From Hayes, them 3. I said to him,
all good fighters.
Yeah, I
Brilliant
said,
fighters,
you're all good enough to win a Southern area,
Yeah.
and then we'll see how we go from there.
Yeah.
That was that. I then got a call from a fella called, you'll know, Frank Warren,
Yeah.
and he said to me,
We all know Frank Warren out there, still
Yeah.
promoting, co-promoter of the Gypsy King.
yeah, that's
and all
it.
That, yeah, top of the
Probably
game.
the top of the game, one of the major promoters in the world.
Yeah.
And he said to me, join me, and he said, this next year I'll be the other firm. Well, he didn't say that, it took me 3 years, but cut long story short, we promoted together underneath Frank's banner, because I never
Yeah.
had a promoter's licence, then
Yeah.
Frank did. And we had shows at Acton Town Hall, and what's the one at Windsor? Blazes, Windsor.
Blazers, yeah.
Successful,
Nightclub, yeah.
successful all
Nice
the time.
venue.
So we had these shows, and we had a row, and I will say this on camera now, and I haven't actually said this to Frank, funny enough, because we just made friends after 30 years.
All right.
But in them days, I was thinking like the amateur, and I said to him at this time, Rocky Kelly, I wanted to know his opponent by the weekend. So I'm phoning up, I can't get no joy. So in my mind, I think they're trying to stitch me up.
Right.
You know, I'm being honest.
Well, yeah,
right?
that's...
So I said, if I don't know by the weekend, he's off the show. Didn't hear, so he's off the show. As soon as I put him off the show, Frank phones me. Oh, Gary, don't be like that. I said, no, Frank, you know, and we fell out over that. But I will now say to you, Frank, I was slightly wrong now, knowing what I know now, because as a matchmaker, I once made a fight for Andy till at 5:30 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and fought at 7:30 at night.
Yeah.
But I was thinking amateur-wise that, you know, I
Yeah.
now realise, so technically, I was wrong as well. So,
Well,
my
there
apologies.
you go, Frank Warren. A public apology right here on Christie TV. And we're a fast-growing channel. Mr. Warren, I hope to see you in Harry's chair one day at some point, but there's an apology from the man himself.
Yeah,
So-
when you're wrong, Joe, you've got the guts and the bottom.
You've got to have an Niagara to say yes,
Yeah.
and that takes that takes it all, doesn't it?
So that was how it was for now. They
Yeah.
would be three fighters. They all done really well. Mick Harrison fell by the wayside, which is sad really. I don't know why, but I heard he was doing unlicensed shit. I don't know. So unfortunately, that was.
Well, I know Mick quite well, so I trained with him a bit when he was
Right.
an unlicensed fighter, and actually, but I promoted Mick as a unlicensed fighter, strangely enough.
Oh, I
So
didn't
we've
know
got a
that.
bit in common,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
But what had happened? He had a love breakup. His missus,
Right.
his missus, they broke up, and she went that way, but left Mickey with a baby boy at 6 months old, 6
Oh.
months of age. So he's to go and train with a 6-month-old baby.
Yeah,
He's
it's
become a
hard.
mother-father figure,
Yeah,
rolled
it's
into
hard,
one. And but he's a good character, Mickey. And
Oh,
if
he's
you're out
lovely,
there,
man.
Mickey, hello, Mickey. He's a
Likewise,
great art. Yeah,
You're one
so-
good man.
There
Take
you
your bottle.
there you go. Well, you don't get a name like Man Mickey Harrison without any bottle. That's his
Yeah.
nickname. He won't
Yeah,
be offended
yeah,
by that. So you've got good fighters, and you then join.
Well,
You then
first of
join.
all, my first champion was Gary Hobbs.
Right.
Gary Hobbs won the Southern Area Middleweight Championship, and Gary, I'll say now, Gary would have ended up being a world champion.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people underestimate in those days, my fighters, they only seemed broader. They didn't know what I knew. I made them like that.
Yeah.
I knew what they could do.
Yeah.
You know, and Gary unfortunately had an accident at work when he got blinded in one eye.
Yeah.
An arrow hit him above the eye. So unfortunately that finished his career.
He was on. What do you call this stuff? What's the name for it? It's quite a simple name. Sorry, I'm an ex-boxer as well. Is it cargo freight or something? And he picks up a little toy car, and the aerial goes through his eye. Or
Yeah,
something?
actual fact, it's a bit of a sad thing.
Is that what
Typical
happened?
Gary. What actually happened? They had this toy car.
Yeah.
And he said to his mate, "Oh, you've got the light part, you know."
Right.
So he said, "Swap over." And as he swapped over, he didn't see it had an aerial come out, and it hit him. It didn't actually hit him, it hit above the eye, the nerve, and completely done his eye in.
Yeah, shame.
And that's a shame because he would have definitely been. I mean, at that time, I had him spar with Tony Simpson.
Yeah.
You know, he was
Brilliant.
preparing for Agler. He was that sort of
Yeah,
standard.
yeah,
you know. So that was Gary. Unfortunately, Gary's
Yeah.
career. We're still friends now.
Very sad. Me and Gary Hobbs are from the same. We're all from the same side of London. I saw him. Strangely enough, I don't know Gary well, but I had a really nice. We're at the York Hall, Bethnal Green, and we had a really nice Sunday afternoon chat.
That's good.
And at one point, I'm going to try and get him on Christie TV and tell his stories. He's a nice lad, yeah. When I got talking to him,
Good. Yeah, sure.
yeah. So we had unfortunate with Gary, who's a great champion. Then of course we had the little boy that come back a year later, Rocky Kelly,
Rocky Kelly.
who's become a great warrior. He now become Southern Area champion.
Rocky Kelly. Right, here we go with Rocky. Tell you can't. Rocky become a Southern Area champion, but I cannot stress more than enough, Rocky, what a fighter he was. In the 80s, he would be, I always say, it's be the Ricky Ayton of the 80s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was a small promoter getting him there, you know, and we did get him there. And I managed to get him to fight for the British title twice.
Yeah.
The first time with Costas Petru, that was his chance. That really was his chance. I'll even say this as
He
well.
fought twice for the British, did he?
Yeah.
Who was his first
Sylvester
one?
Mitty, Costas Petru.
Costas
Right,
Petru.
one
I didn't know
South
that. I thought he only had one. Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
yeah.
And what happens, to be fair, I'll say this myself, that's my management skills, because Sylvester Mitty was the one that Frank was working for to get in front.
Yeah.
I was working against it, and I managed to get Rocky put forward first.
Right.
Unfortunately as well, not making excuses, but just telling the truth, he had an injury on his leg, his foot,
Yeah.
ankle. I couldn't put him out because I knew if I did, Sylvester would get the chance, probably win it, and we'd be backballed out for a while.
Like back 2 or 3 years
Do you
or
know what I mean?
something.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I had to take a chance. So I took the chance with it. It did play him up. It did play him up. Not taking nothing away, Costa Petru won the fight.
On points,
Good
was it,
play.
Harry?
No. In the ninth round, Costa Petru, Rocky had him down in the early part, about 2, I think. But in round 9, he spat his gum shield out, Costa Petru, right, and he went for it. And he sung so many shots at Rocky. I've got to be honest, Rocky was puddled. He'd never had that done to him up until then.
Yeah, until then,
And the rest
yeah.
stopped it.
Yeah.
But rightly so, Petru won the fight, no problem with that. But now I've got to rebuild him. Rebuild him again. He beat some great fighters. I mean, the Tony Brown fight, I mean, unbelievable fights.
Yeah.
If you ever watch him, you know, you'll see.
I know he used to pack alls out. This fight that we're talking about, Rocky Kelly, I've seen footage. I remember Rocky. I met Rocky a few times. Lovely lad. He could sell an all out on himself. He was that sort of entertaining fighter, wouldn't he? You know, if you said Rocky Kelly's on there, the thousand people venue would be sold overnight. Almost,
my promotions, they were fantastic
Yeah.
because all my fighters where I sat myself was exciting.
Yeah.
So get back to Rocky there. So built him up again, and now he's come up against Curtin Lane. Well, at that time, I can even say this: I couldn't stand Curtin Lane. I didn't realise about him how he was, with arrogant, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rocky thought we were so.
And he
confident.
weren't that really, was he?
No,
We didn't
were
know
so
that. That's what he thought come
confident,
across as.
So
Yeah.
confident Rocky beat him.
Yeah.
But anyway, in round 2, Rocky gets knocked down. Now, I'm honest enough to say, he was on a penny. He didn't know where he was. I promoted it. It was banged out, like, and anyway, so he gets up from it. Now he's coming on like express train. Now I really fancy Rocky now because he just gets stronger.
Yeah.
And Curtin Lane improved his stamina when he fought Colin Jones.
Yeah, twice,
So
ninth round, yeah.
I really fancy Kelly
Yeah.
now. In round 5 he gets caught, gets knocked, gets up. He goes like this. He knew exactly where he was.
Yeah.
And Larry O'Connell stopped it. And I said to Larry O'Connell, I never disagree with this, but I did that night. And he said, Harry, I could have stopped him in round 2. I said, Larry, excuse me. I said, let me tell you, if you had done, disappointed, but you would have been in order. Because he didn't know
But
where
not
he
in round
was.
6.
But they don't told you to stop it then because he knew exactly where he was.
Couldn't agree more. If you see
So-
this fight, viewers at home, it's on YouTube. Cracking little fight. Rocky Kelly, the two-handed warrior, coming back into the elusive
Yeah.
low-handed reflex fight at Curtin Lane, who beat the great Roberto Duran in his prime.
Oh,
Curtin Lane,
he turned out. And
So that's how good a fight as we're
he was,
talking.
he was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
It was a fantastic thing. And later on, he asked me to manage him, funny enough.
Yeah.
And I said, Kurt, I said, you've cost me 2 champions. I love you, but
Yeah,
no.
you know more,
That
yeah.
was that. But the one
Bless
thing I
him.
forgot, Joe, I must go back to this with Rocky. This is terrible that I forgot this. Just before this, the final eliminator was unfortunately with a fighter called Steve Watt. Now, the most terrible, I look in the camera and
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
most
we've got a
terrible
sad
thing
one
happened.
coming here,
First of all,
unfortunately, yeah.
Steve Watt was a magnificent fighter. I can't stress. I promoted the fight at the West London Hotel. Fantastic fight. Up until it was a 10-rounder, final eliminator. And Rocky was about 2 rounds in front. So I've got to stress this. So the referee's got to give Steve Watt every chance he can.
Yeah.
And I've played this so many times round 9 to see if there was any deterioration in Steve. But he was still turning Rocky and trying.
Yeah.
Rocky pinned him on the ropes. Now that we know, maybe the ref could have stopped it a fraction earlier, but that's because we know now.
Easy in hindsight, I
Easy
suppose.
with inside. But he didn't because it was such a fight. Unfortunately, Steve collapsed and unfortunately Steve died.
Driving
And
injuries.
we had to ask ourselves, do we want to carry on this sport? Set Rocky down. And as I said before, we decided to carry on from that, built him up again, which shows the strength of Rocky Kelly to fight the likes of Curtin Lane. And then after that, he came back again. He defended Southern Area against David Dent. And he absolutely had a terrific. I took him as far as I could take him. But nowadays, he would be a world champion on guts alone.
Oh, brilliant fighter. Well, I'm going to take a moment to pause. All the boxing fans at home, me and Harry as boxing fans, been all our life. we're going to take a pause and give thought and respect and love and prayers for Steve Jock Watt, Scottish boy based in West London. Just for a second, I'm going to have a pause and take. God bless you, my friend. Yeah,
rest in peace.
Rest in peace. So we move on. Rocky was a tough one.
That was Rocky.
So how many champions did you have all in all, Barry?
Before we get on that, let me just.
So you've got 2 at the moment.
Yeah, I've got to put this in here. In the meantime, while I'm having these, I've got a stable of. At one time, I had a stable of 30 odd fighters.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, all good fighters at different levels. But the ones that you would know were coming up in that time. Behind Rocky was a fella called Trevor Smith.
Yeah.
Trevor Smith won the Southern Area
champion, yeah.
Then when Rocky went on, I followed him on. He fought Kurt Lane. Unfortunately, Kurt Lane beat him.
Falling in your side,
That was then. In the meantime, we had one coming up. The famous Andy Till.
Andy Stoneface Till.
Now, Andy, Rocky had fought as an amateur. I think they had 4 fights, 2 each, or something like that. I can't remember.
Well, they once said you like this one. Andy Till and Rocky Kelly was at a show once recently.
I know what you're saying.
I think you like this one. They said, how many fights did we have? And they said, we think it was 6. Two wins each and 1 draw.
Yeah. Well, they've carried on so much that between the 2 of them.
6 fights with a 2.
I say it was 2-1 to Rocky.
Yeah.
But so many people, including my son, have disagreed. I've had to swallow that one
thinks he won 3-2.
That's what I'm saying. I've had to swallow that one. But nevertheless, he was coming on. I like to mention while I'm on it. We'll get back to Andy. I like to mention people like Glenn Dainty, good fighter. I had Serge Fame, who fought for the British title against Steve McCarthy, and definitely got robbed. I cannot believe that. I would never say this to a boxer. The last round come up, I said, Serge, stay on your feet, you're British champion. When it was over,
didn't get it. 1
round he lost it by. He fell down, couldn't believe it. Steve McCarthy fell down by the side and couldn't believe he got it. And then he come and signed with me.
Steve McCarthy.
Every time one of my fighters beats someone, they come and sign with
Southampton, Paul McCarthy, his brother.
Yeah, Paul McCarthy's brother. Yeah, come with me. But now we got out. Getting back to the champions, I ended up having about. I wish I brought that with me now. Funny enough, but I ended up having like Southern Area champions. About 12 Southern Area champions.
Andy Till.
Lonsdale belt Andy Till,
which great achievement.
And he Falls won the title. I trained him, but he won it when he left me. Went on with.
Ali Falls British champion. Yeah.
But then I had Andy Till's now coming up. Fantastic, took him along, Southern Area Championship, right, terrific. And he's coming up now to fight Collins. No, sorry, Waddy Swift the first time. Fantastic fight, Andy just about nicks it. Some people think Waddy did that time, not me, but they did. Anyway, so we got, then it went through, as I remember, kept him, he had to fight for the WBC Intercontinental against
John Davis.
John Davison, yeah. So I've done that deal with, blimey, Paul, famous from Birmingham, famous boxer. Can't remember the manager anyway.
Yeah.
Done that deal with him. Andy won that, so now we're in line. So got a world rank as well. So we're up there, and he's going to fight Waddy Swift for the title, right? And I'm just trying to think because of the free. Yes, that's it. I promoted this one. It's Watford. Okay. Fantastic fight with Andy winning, but Waddy claimed he hurt his shoulder. Right, there was always this about he hurt his shoulder. And Waddy's not a crybaby, so we got to give respect.
Do you know
what I mean? So, cut long story short, I've got co-promoted with Frank Maloney, me and my mates. We promoted at the Albert Hall, which to me was absolutely fantastic to promote at the Albert Hall.
Yeah, lovely fashion.
All the fights. If you said to me one day you're going to promote at the Albert Hall,
you'd probably not believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Andy's third fight, and there's even a funny story there with the money there because Frank Maloney wanted to give him half the money. And this is another thing when I say to Andy Till, I always got you the right money.
Right.
Because...
There you go, Stoneface Andy, this is a message for you.
Frank Maloney wanted to give you half the money. Now, if I'd give you half the money, half of that money is shared between me and Frank Maloney as promoters.
Yeah.
But no, I've done the right job for my fighters. You had the money. A lot of money, as you know, Andy.
Yeah.
Right, so that was where it was, and he won the title, and Frank Maloney was right in a way because Andy stopped him in 3 rounds, annihilated him.
Yeah. I done a bit of moving around in your gym for him in that fight, and he peaked really hard. He was a great fighter at that. For those few years, 2 years, he was unbelievable.
No, he was right on blood. Right on key,
yeah.
People didn't realise, which I knew, how good he was. They just thought Crash Bang won it, but he was better than that.
Oh, you and Johnny Bloomfield, our friend, Harry's really close friend, a friend of mine, Johnny Bloomfield, great trainer, good team together.
Oh, absolutely
and a lovely
fellow. There was Johnny Bloomfield and Peter
God
Snowshell. Unfortunately, John's dead now, God bless him. Pete I still see all the time. Great to have them in it. They was with me for the ride all along. Do you know, but getting back to Andy, as I said, I've done the best for him. I told you the story earlier. I went and actually conned the French.
Yeah, because, so we conned the French.
Yeah, the European...
Beat them at their own game in the boxing terms.
Yeah. Well, in them days, Joe, as you know, it's different to what it is nowadays. If you was a champion, you never come out. Now, he was a champion, but Ronnie was the champion of France. I think he was 18-1 then or whatever. You'd never come out to risk your championship. You stay there, and that's how it was.
It was hard to get a title away from France or Italy, with Germany, etc.
Right, here we go with the con. Right, I went over there. I pretended I was a village idiot, so they put me up in a nice hotel with a lady and one thing and another, and treated me well. And they said to me, "What TV have you got?" And I've said, "Not TV. I actually do a colour story. I actually write for." They said, "Well, what sponsor have you got?" I said, "Sponsor? No sponsor." So now they think I've got no TV, no sponsor. What sort of money? So they try to knock me down all the time.
Yeah.
So I made out I'm going to agree this figure. I went, let me think. No. I said, let it go to purse office. And this is when greed takes over. I knew they would put a low figure in, Joe.
Put a low bid in.
Put a low figure in. I'll put a sensible figure in. We won the fight, so once again, I'll give Eddie till every chance of winning the title. Yeah. Having said that, with insight now, he was a fantastic fighter.
But why did he become a world champion later?
Yeah, he was a fantastic
fighter. Did you say a 9-sight and a clash of heads? It weren't Andy's night.
No, it wasn't
to be.
And he was the first one ever that I see when they used to transfer your weight. Like he was hitting Andy to the left side and getting over that to the right side. I've never seen a fighter do that at that particular time.
Yeah.
First one I ever seen do that. I was impressed.
Very clever.
But he did know Andy, I must stress. He did know Andy. So we'll never know, because as you know, Andy gets stronger.
And Andy does get stronger, full of stamina and strength.
And he would have got stronger.
And he would have.
But he was going for a bad time, which I do agree he was, with his wife and one thing and another.
Yeah, but these things happen. It knocks in bruises, and it ain't all a bed of roses, unfortunately.
No. I mean, I'll say it here in here because I had these things with Andy. So unfortunately, when you manage a fight, you can't always agree on everything. Andy Till was a hell of a good fighter. Right, and I always done best by you, Andy, got you the best deals I ever done. And there's one thing I'm going to say now. If he'd been with any other major promoter, he wouldn't have done the same, because they wouldn't have stuck with him like I stuck with him.
Well, it was like family for a while, eh?
Family.
Same camp. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit, Eric.
Yeah,
sorry, mate, that's what journalists do. Sometimes we just fight from the hip. Who's the best fighter you had?
To be honest with you, the best fighter I had is James Cook. No, I was just going to go on to James. James phoned me up. He's just been beat by Earl Graham, and he was going to pack up. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "I'll tell you what I think, James. You're a good fighter, and if you join me, I'll make you a champion."
Right.
He joined me. We never looked back. He won the British title in Belfast on a KO. He won the European title in Paris on a KO. He stopped Mark Caylor, retired Mark
Brilliant
Caylor.
fighter, West Ham fighter, Mark Caylor,
He retired Errol Christie, which there's all stories to do with this.
Another brilliant fighter, the late Errol. I think Errol's passed us now, bless him. Is Errol Christie passed us now?
Sorry?
Is Errol Christie passed on now?
Yes, unfortunately.
Bless him, young age, God bless you, Errol, great boxer.
He beat Errol
times amateur champion.
Because he beat Rocky Kelly in the schoolboys. Rocky, unfortunately, it was his first time at the schools, and it was Errol Christie was the best amateur in them days.
He won the maximum 8 titles.
Yeah.
You could only win 8 in them days, he won them all. Yeah.
And there's a story of that with James, because when James come to me, it was entirely different my setup to what he was used to, And he got out of the ring after about 4 hours, back in there, push him in and all that, because I knew the class he had. He just sat there ruggedness. And there's another thing that James might not even realise even now. When he fought Caylor, I had to, behind the back, pretend that I thought Caylor was going to win. The reason being, I thought the world of James, but he wasn't a big ticket seller. And on that showing, that fight couldn't have gone ahead. It had to be sold on Kayla.
Yeah.
So behind the back, I'm pretending that I think Kayla. I know what James is going to do then.
Yeah.
I think, but I nevertheless, I'm saying, you know,
you've got to work. You've got to work.
You know, and on the night, he did do the business, and he was undefeated with me, James, British European champion. And I tell you, on that showing, he could have beat anyone. I've got to say this now because James has never actually said it like this, which I'm going to say now to the crowd. I actually had, not promising, I had the fight signed, a 3-fight deal with Barney Eastwood for fighting for the British title, getting the chance.
Yeah.
If he won it, a KO, pick the one, an easy one, yeah? And a mandatory. That was signed, sealed and done.
Yeah.
James, unfortunately, got approached by Mickey Duff, or they got together in some way, a form.
Yeah.
Sent me unhappy, so I sold his contract to Mickey Duff. Me and James are still friends to this day, and still we're a really lovely, lovely man. Got the MBE now, which we've all gone forward for.
Brilliant.
And I'm just choked that he could have been my first world champion.
There you go.
So I'm choked about it, but it's like sometimes, but we're still friends. I love the man to death. You know, so that was it.
Sometimes the grass looks greener the other side.
Right.
But
now, I saw the back end of boy, you asked me the best fighter. That's what I say. But there was a fighter that left me, that's come back to me later on, that I think could have been Eamon McCauley.
Right.
He won the ABA's, Joe. He was something special. He wasn't he could do it all. He could punch, he could roll,
all
he
round,
could do it all.
had everything, yeah.
And I said to him, unfortunately, I can understand it. He went back to Barney because Barry McGuigan was a superstar. He could spar with him all the time, be brought up. But I did tell him, I said, what will happen there? You'll be used as a sparring partner. They'll still promote you. If you come through, they've got 2 bites of the cherry. Unfortunately, that's what has happened. You know, he got used as a sparring, but I took the best out of him. He would still come at me. He was still undefeated with me, but there was a little bit missing.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased to say he's just wrote a book of his own. He's praised me and said that he never lost a fight with me.
Well, it sounds good, and good for you. Which we're going to touch on. All these things are adding up to what we're going to be in a minute.
Okay.
Back onto so I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to go slightly backwards.
Yeah.
You and Les Southey.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of rough, tough West London boys. You know your way around. You had a couple of incidents on the door, and later on, funny enough, when I leave you, I've got to go and meet an old friend of yours.
Yeah.
Bang Bang Ray Hill.
That's great.
Yeah, right. Okay. And tell us, doing some research, you had a bit of trouble on the door. You got clobbered over the head with a lump of wood, and you went and sparred with Ray. Tell us a bit about what happened with you.
I'll tell you what it is. We had a bit of trouble with fun at the Greenford Hotel.
Right.
And we was that was fun. I've gone in there and he just smashed me over with a chair, and everyone froze for the minute, and then Les come round and said get him out. Anyway, we had it. We done on one thing and another, stitches in my head. Anyway, I had the stitches out this particular day at Westmid, and I've gone down the gym, and Ray, because he could half it, Ray, everything he says about him is true. Ray Hill could have been someone.
So Bang Bang Ray Hill is Bang Bang for a reason.
If I'd managed Ray Hill right now, when I was managing properly, done it, I could have made him champion, right? But nevertheless, no one had sparred me that time, so I said I sparred with him. But also, he was so conscious of knocking you out, I could handle that, I could get out of the way. So he's going, whoom, whoom. It's like a film, you know, I'm rolling, and they're going, whoom, whoom, just missing me. And whether you say this, you remember this, Ray, but he actually got flustered, he went, boom, and he split the head open, wide open.
Oh, lovely.
And they go back and be stitched up.
So you're back up Ealing Hospital, West Mid or something again.
They thought I was crazy. That's the story, right? We're on your right, good luck, Bucker.
And other than the fighters you've had, and whatever, just off the cuff with about a 10-second answer, who's the hardest man you've ever met?
Fighters, I'll be honest, it's still got to be Rocky Kelly. I mean, it's close because there was 3 of them. I mean, Andy Sill, Rocky Kelly.
I'm not referring to your fighters now. I'm referring to anybody in the world.
The hardest.
The hardest man you've ever met in the world.
That's an odd one to think of. I'll tell you. I think I've got to say hardest with Dennis Hedges, really, because he was so underrated, but he was so strong. You know what I mean?
Have you ever met Mike Tyson?
No, it's funny I haven't, but I'll be truthful with you now. I'm going to upset a lot of people now. I've read his book, and I didn't rate one thing. He never give anyone any good thing to say about anybody. You know, so to me, the way I believe in the fight game, most of us who you met, Joe, are pretty nice people.
Yeah, I like to think
nasty
so.
in the ring. Oh,
Yeah,
incidentally, you never brought up. I actually brought Marvin Hagler over, you know.
Oh, well, he must have been one of the hardest men you'd ever met, if not the hardest.
What I'd done, when I was promoting, I got millionaire backers. When a lot of people don't know this, when Nigel Benn got beat by Chris Eubanks, his very next fight, I brought him over. I brought Marvin Hagler over, right, and he fought Nigel Benn at York Hall.
Yeah.
And Marvin Hagler come over, and that was the first time at my promotion when him and Alan Minter met and cuddled one another.
Oh, right, they embraced them.
Because Ambrose Mendy was, as you know...
For you guys at home, me and Harry going back, it was a great 3 or 4 round tear up. God bless Marvellous Marvin Hagler's passed on, and Boom Boom Alan Minter's also passed on. But there was a lot of press got behind, made it into a racially hatred fight. Things Minter was supposedly said, whether they were said or not, they made it a right heated. There was a great fight for 3 or 4 rounds, and Minter was cut to pieces, but the crowd got behind all the press throwing bottles. It was a ugly scene for boxing, but it was nice to know that Alan Minter and Marvin Hagler made up.
Cool.
And it's a great 3 or 4 round fight. It does go Hagler's way, but
that was great because that was my chance of hitting it. I'll stop as far as promotion there. That was the finest, but there was rails with the
pound for pound. He must have been one of the hardest you've ever met, if not the hardest man you've ever met. Then Dennis Andrews is a tough man.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
there's so much show to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
But I mean, these are off the cuff.
You've got enough to,
things. So all of this, the debt collecting. We've done a bit of this. We've been a promoter. We've been a music promoter. We've done all the bits and pieces. What comes along in your career, and it's been there for quite some years now. You get to play in EastEnders as an actor, as a background actor. How would you describe it?
Yeah,
it's a bit like
that. Was going right back now. I've been there 35 years, but
35 years.
Same thing. In those days, you had to have an equity card. You couldn't get anyone. I never had one. So I spoke to someone once again. Funny enough, was an underworld figure, to be quite truthful.
Yeah.
And he knew someone, and they gave us a provisional. And I didn't use it. And I spoke to someone one day. He said, "Well, let me phone up." I said, "Well, you know." He phoned up and he said, "Well, where have you been?" He said, "Well, I'm not going to lie to you. So I've been in Nick for 5 years."
Yeah.
It sounds mad.
Yeah.
They said, "Well, come and see us." So we went on the equity office. I said, "What do you do, me and my friend?" They said, "Song a dance routine." "Can you do?" "I can't sing." I made out I'd enjoy it. And Danny Mahoney, my mate, he stuck a thing on his head and started singing an Irish horse. So it sounds crazy, but we ended up getting the equity card.
Yeah.
First job I got was All Creatures Great and Small. Well, I'm not a dog lover, to be sorry about that, everybody, but I'm not. All right. So there I am. I'm in the waiting room with an Alsatian licking me chops, which said what a great actor I was. So that's my first job. My second job, she phoned me up. She said, "I've got a job here for you, EastEnders." So, cut long story short, I started extra EastEnders, and then about 10 years after that, I got stalled in the market when a fellow everybody knows called Big Ron, he died.
Yeah.
And I took over the stall, stall, become Big Harry, and my finest bit was in the 2000 I think it was 2012, somewhere, I might be wrong on the dates, but I had about 8 speaking parts, little speaking parts, which was fantastic. Yeah. And since then I've come back on the market now. You see me quick, you have to be quick, I'm walking backwards and forwards. But all I want to say in that regards, it's a fantastic show, fantastic people. I'm so lucky to have been a part of it, and we'll leave it like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you befriended these lovely people, stars, over the years, and you're so very, very well respected, just as if you were almost the forefront actor, if you like, if that's the right word. And you did at some stage meet us through Her Majesty the Queen, the lady herself at some stage, and her son due to the set.
To be very well, I met, it was the Queen Mother actually.
Oh, the Queen Mother.
It wasn't to do with EastEnders that day. What it was, I had a friend who was the photographer of the Irish Guards.
Yeah.
And he said, "Me come along, you know." So we go along. Another funny story, right? And as you got to imagine, there's all these fellas with the medals, you know, been in the free wars or whatever, you know, walking along, and Her Majesty's there taking the salute, if you like. So he said, "Get on the end." I said, "Oh, I can't do that." So I'm walking along, sort of, and even me, all my bottle's gone in. So all of a sudden I've come off to the side. So he's there, she's there. So I said, "Thanks ever so much, that's really nice." He said, "No, he goes to change his palace." said, nah, yeah. So here we go. So with that, the Queen Mother's giving what is it on Irish Day? What they give you? The flower.
I'm not sure.
It's a flower.
A shamrock, would it be?
Yeah, I think it might be shamrock. Anyway, she's giving them out, so I'm in line.
I think you discovered now me and Harry are English.
Yeah, so she gives me that. So
all due respect to you, Irish watchers, I just don't know what it is. Apologies.
Yeah. Absolutely lovely lady. So anyway, with that, she excuse me. She goes in and people are meeting her, and I thought this is my chance, you know. So I goes in. Right, gets on the end of the queue, and I said to someone, how does one, they said, address Your Majesty and bow. So I've come along, so I thought in a minute someone's going to grab me and pull me out, you know. They didn't. All of a sudden I'm level with her, so I bow, I said, very pleased to meet you, Majesty. She's very pleased to meet you, and she's looking to the left to try to find out, obviously there's a fellow with a pen there trying to tell her who I am, right. But you can't find me because I'm not there. Right. But I just shot off, thank you very much, and shot off, and then I was lucky, the fellow took a photo of me, which you've got in my book to prove it. So there.
So you lost your bottle a little bit.
Yeah.
And there you go, look. He bottled it. A little old lady made him lose his bottle, this big old tough boy from West London.
All on us is down EastEnders not so long ago. It was in all the papers. I was very lucky.
Prince Charles?
Yes, Prince Charles. Very lucky.
So you met him in EastEnders.
So it's very nice.
So all of these things, I know back in your 70th, I couldn't make the 70th, or I was invited kindly. Unfortunately, I was away or something. But I know you had a lot of this star-studded people come in, befriend, you know, at your 70th, good close friends of yours. So you're
80th.
I don't want about the 70th, 10 years ago.
70, I don't
know what happened on the 80th, but it's probably the same thing happened on the 70th. Yeah.
Plus.
So that's good. So there you go, so plus. So that's been a fantastic, good journey. So look out for Harry on the market stall here and there. He might say the odd word, maybe. So
can I just bring something in here, because it's going to slip my mind. Sorry.
Go on. Yeah, certainly.
For the audience, when you get older, these things happen. I am 80, I've got an excuse. There's a thing we tried to do, we got a DVD out, that we done at the Abbey Road Studios, and it's you can see it on YouTube. Never Give Up, Never Give In. It's a single we done, and we're trying to get these homes together for disabled fighters,
right,
and all that. You know, Mr. Harris is the man who organised it all. Simon Block was the one who sung the song, and we all ended up on Britain's Got Talent.
Right.
We actually, this is this year. We actually are on there.
There you go.
Somehow along the line, we thought we were through, but cut long story short, we never got through. But we have had the pleasure of singing at the London Palladium.
There you go. But never give up, never give in.
And please put money in if you can afford, even £1, £2, £3, into this lovely charity for people. Never give up, never give up. You can see it on YouTube, and they give you all the details about the heroes, the home.
Yeah, good stuff. Talking about never give up, never give in. We're talking to a man here, Harry Holland, who had a tough upbringing, and he hasn't given up and he hasn't given in. He's come all the way up through his life. Just before we finish, surely all what you give back in boxing, all what you had done in professional amateur boxing, surely the highlight of your career must have been 2019 when the British Boxing Board of Control inducted you into the Hall of Fame. That must have been the highlight of your career. Tell us about how that felt.
Definitely, absolutely fantastic. When I told Gino that I was going to go into that, I still can't believe it now. You know, it's such a great honour to be bestowed upon me. You know, my life has been boxing, and I've still got 2 fighters. My John, I'm so proud to mention my son John.
Yeah,
he's a great trainer, and he's got 2 like the West Side Boxing Club. It's at Hounslow, and another one at Twickenham. He's come a great trainer. We train all the young kids. We've got 2 pros at the moment, Mr. T and Heavyweight, 4 out of 4. And a lovely super middleweight Bell, lovely boxer. They're both boxing at York Hall. Yeah. So we're starting over again. So I want to retire at 80. It looks like I've got to stay for a little while and help my son out, who he's quite capable of doing without me, mind you. And that's one. But to be in the Hall of Fame, honestly, Joe, you know, Harry Holland, fantastic.
I think for all you viewers at home, some things you earn, some things you get a bit lucky, but when people talk about Hall of Fame, I think that just says it all. Harry, before we sign off, I say again, from a very tough, slow, difficult upbringing, all the way through, meeting all these lovely people in the journey, a wonderful journey through life. You've picked up the pieces, I must say, brilliantly well. You're now an Hall of Famer. Has there been any regrets in this journey?
There's always regrets, but not many, Joe, to be honest with you.
So if you had it to write again, you'd probably almost do the same again. I mean, obviously, we could tweak things. Things out of your control.
couple of
You
things
can't
will change.
really change, can you?
No.
Out of your control. But what you've done,
I think the one thing I can't change happens to all boxers, managers and trainers. It's sometimes said that you get fighters don't appreciate, you know, that it's not always the managers, the dodgy person. You know, you get things done to yourself, you know, and it hurts you.
yeah.
But the main thing is, it's been great. It's been a great run. All the fighters I've had, and as I say, on my birthday it come good. I was very lucky enough to have people phoning me up and saying, you're 80, and I'd just like to say to everybody out there now, boxing's a great character, like yourself, Joe. Joe's a nice man, always been a nice man and always will be. Boxing's not
Very kind
thuggish.
words. By the way, I'm not paying him for this.
No, yeah, that's true.
That's
No, I've
very
got to say
kind
this
words.
to everyone, get behind the boxers, because they are, it's a great character builder. Do you know what I mean? It's full of nice people as well, but apart from boxing, enjoy your lives, please. Be nice to each other. Love you all, and thank you, Joe, for giving me this opportunity today.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Harry Holland. All my pleasure, all yours. Kushti TV, you keep subscribing. I'll keep bringing legends to the table like this. Box safe.
God bless.
God bless.